Every day, hundreds, sometimes more than 1,000 inpatients and outpatients expect first-class medical services and competent personal care. Countless examinations are conducted and treatments administered on a daily basis. If staff are to focus on their core tasks and supply high-quality performance, the complex logistical processes running in the background must function faultlessly. Every blood specimen, every medicine, blood from the blood bank, pathological supplies and other objects have to be transported quickly but also carefully. Zumetzberger's pneumatic tube system's contribution here too is indispensable. They unite speed, reliability and commercial efficiency. A network of tubes connects the sending and receiving stations with each other. It is through these tubes the compressed air moves the carriers loaded with objects from and to the stations.
Wir arbeiten seit Bezug des Neubaus im Jahr 2000 mit der Rohrpost.
We've been working with the pneumatic system since we moved into the new building in 2000. For us, it meant a real quantum leap, since one of the consequences of the previous sample delivery system, by support staff or couriers, was that the laboratory processing time became irrelevant, and instead a simple turnover time was set, meaning that samples arrived every 2 to 4 hours, and we were always slow.
Dass alle 2 Stunden, alle 4 Stunden Proben kamen und wir immer langsam waren.
The tube system has changed this substantially. The clinics have seen how short the laboratory processing times have become, which brought us a lot of praise from the clinics.
Und das hat uns sehr viel Lob und sehr viel Freude von der Klinik eingebracht.
Blood and other samples are taken routinely on every ward, in every clinic and in other areas. Several samples are loaded together in a carrier and delivered to a station to be dispatched. Upon departure, the carrier slides into the pipe network and goes on a controlled speed journey to the laboratory, whereby often large distances over many levels are covered. Even buildings separated by kilometre-long distances can be connected with a pneumatic tube system. The carrier already reaches its destination a short time later. There, an air cushion slows it down gently and it exits shock-free. Laboratory samples are sensitive items. Every shock could negatively affect their quality. Therefore, they must be transported especially gently and safely.
Zu Anfang gab es natürlich auch Bedenken seitens der Klinik. Werden denn die Materialien nicht thermolytisch angenommen?
Naturally, initially the clinics had doubts. Would the materials arrive at the lab hemolytically? Would the pneumatic tube transport affect the sensitive samples? We then said to the clinicians that the system had been evaluated. However, for our own safety and to have an argument for the clinics, we examined a few sensitive parameters and sample materials, such as coagulation samples, in our own small study that we conducted to prove that all was okay. Meanwhile, we've progressed so far that we can send donor blood to a faraway operating theatre using the tube, provided, of course, air-cushioned arrival is available so that nothing happens to that precious blood.
Zu Fuß weiter entfernten OP-Saal sogar Blutkonserven mit der Rohrpost schicken können. Voraussetzung dafür ist natürlich, dass so ein gebremster Auslauf existiert, damit also dem kostbaren Blut nichts passiert.
Tissue samples are sent from the operating theatre area to pathology. This not only saves time for the patient, but also for the staff. Upon their arrival in the lab, samples are directed to the analysis procedure for further processing. The emptied carriers automatically find their way back or to where carriers are currently needed. The appropriate station type is used depending on application. In departments with a higher dispatch frequency, such as, for instance, in the pharmacy, multi-sending stations capable of simultaneously storing several carriers are the equipment of choice. A clear, self-explanatory user guidance via an interface with a plain text display and several other user-friendly features and functions ensure comfortable and uncomplicated handling, which makes life for the relevant staff members much more pleasant. At the end of the transport distance, the arriving carriers are slowed down to a halt on an air cushion and discharged into the exit chute. In so doing, no air exits the station, which is very important from the hygiene point of view, and prevents viruses and bacteria from being dragged from one station to another.
Das Gebäude, in dem wir uns zurzeit befinden, wurde im April 2000 in Betrieb genommen. Zur damaligen Zeit haben wir mit 5 Linien begonnen.
The building we are located in was commissioned in April 2000. At that time we started with 5 lines. That is, back then we had 35 dispatch and receiving stations. We've expanded over the years. Buildings were renovated, and so currently we have 11 lines with 69 dispatch and receiving stations. We dispatch with the pneumatic tube 1,500 to 1,700 sendings daily, which over the years adds up to 3.2 million sendings.
Mittlerweile ca. 3,2 Millionen Sendungen.
Loads include lab reports, documentation, pathological samples, the so-called frozen sections, tissue samples or other documents sent from A to B within the building.
Gewebeproben oder sonstige Schriftstücke, die in dem Haus von A nach B geschickt werden.
The system, equipped with real-time monitoring, not only visualizes, records and analyzes all processes, but also enables remote control and maintenance via a network, internet or a modem.
Das heißt, wir können genau
This means we can say exactly which carrier was sent from where to and when. In this way, complex processes such as, for example, a transfer over a multi-line distribution unit can also be depicted in an easily understandable manner. System monitoring constantly delivers current information about the system status, 365 days a year.
Im Rahmen der ganzen Logistik.
With a view to all of the logistics in our buildings, we can say that the system runs around the clock, which means 365 days a year and with a minimum of personnel costs.
Mit einem minimalen Personalaufwand.
Important loads always have priority. The program has numerous additional functions. For example, the possibility of automatic email notification, as well as scheduled startup and shutdown, diverting carriers, or the already mentioned documentation to every single load, forming the basis for a